Lionhearts, it's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said well. I'm doing well, even though I'm coming to you from a very windy Florida, but today we are gonna have a fun vlog. We're gonna show you a couple of things today. One is the grave of a man I think we probably all love, and the other is gonna be one amazing house you won't believe until you see it. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. Hope you guys enjoy our day today. This is a special Patreon sunglass vlog for Catherine Ramos. Catherine, I hope you enjoy today. Let's roll. Our first stop today, I promise you, will not only be worth it, but it's definitely gonna have a pretty cool tie-in to the person's grave that we're going to. All right, this is actually gonna take us to a regular old neighborhood, right off the water, but wait till you see what we find. Look at that lion. He's got a hat that's trying to blow off, but he won't let it. Well, my friends, we are here. Wait till you see what I got to see just now. What started out as a beautiful piece of art turned into a lawsuit. Check it out. What you see before you is not only a work of art, it is someone's home. And back in 2017, they decided, hey, let's paint Starry Night on the side of our house. A little tribute to Vincent van Gogh, and they thought it would be a beautiful piece of art for everyone to enjoy that passes by. This is actually a really congested, for the most part, I mean, it's a pretty busy street that a lot of people are coming by. They put it up, and the city of Mount Dora started fining them, saying this was an illegal sign posting. So they started paying the fines, but they kept it up. They refused to change it. And eventually, then it was said that the offense now was, or at least online it says that the offense was that they were in violation of all the walls had to, or all the sides of the house had to match. So apparently they just went ahead and painted the whole house. Look at that. So now this entire house, all the way around, is a tribute to Starry Night, and I guess they said they were still having problems and the city was complaining about the wall around it, so they went ahead and painted the wall too. And when it went to court, the homeowners won. No offense, Mount Dora, but good for them. I'm a total fan of, if you own a place, you should be able to decorate it however you want. Take a look. I love it. They even have a little pathway that you can walk by it, so try and show you as much as I can, every angle I can. The Starry Night house. There's the garage. And the gate continues on down to here. Oh, and they even have the Welcome to Mount Dora sign. They're not even holding a grudge. All the way out to here. Sorry about the wind. Zoom in a little bit so you can see this. I just love this kind of stuff. And if you saw the title of this video, you know whose grave we're going to, so now you probably understand the tie-in. Yeah, we're going to Bob Ross's grave after this. But I just thought, what a beautiful use of paint and color. Happy little stars, happy little flowers, wandering little twinkling lights on the water over here. And not only did they paint the house and the outside of the wall, they painted the inside of the wall too. Take a look. Yeah, I freaking love it. Found out this was here, couldn't not come by and see it, and what better vlog to do it with, so. Let's depart from Mount Dora and head closer to Orlando, final resting place of Mr. Bob Ross. Yeah, because if you think about it, other than Big Bird and maybe Mr. Rogers, there's nobody even comparable to being as influential on public television, public broadcasting. I wonder how the neighbors feel about this. VW Spider, nice. Good thing I had the camera ready. We didn't want to miss that. Wow, didn't even know that was there. A whole lot of flags here too, I noticed. Very patriotic. Their slogan is Mount Dora, something special. I love the back roads driving of Florida. I really do. This has been a lot of fun. Here we are, Woodlawn Memorial Park. They have their own Hollywood sign. Here we go. It's even guarded by lions out front. This is not Bob's grave, but this one caught my eye off to the side of the road while I was driving. Look at that. Gators. And the headstone's for Savini, Leo Savini. And then there's also a golfer over here. Just thought that was very unique. Very, very unique. And look, they have a putting green with a golf ball right near the hole. Right in front of it as part of it. Wow, take a look at that big mural that's kind of the centerpiece of this cemetery. That is fantastic. It's all done in mosaic. That is some amazing art itself. The Last Supper up there. The Johnson family, they grew up together, they grew old together. Okay, I think Bob is way back here. Looks like. I think he's right over here. Look at that one. It's an interesting idea. You know, the old, you can't take it with you. Guess that's as close as it gets. There's one grave over here with a ton of stuff all over it and a lot of paintings. You don't happen to think that might be him, do you? Yeah. Talk about beloved. This is the guy that not only reminded us how much we should love nature, but he also taught people that thought they had no talent that if you're willing to take the time to learn, you could build talent. That the brushes. And the guy also who reminded us that there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. Look, it says television artist. That's a great way to describe him. So Bob's got an interesting story. He grew up out here in Florida in the Orlando area, and his parents got a divorce and his mom got remarried, and then 20 years later she remarried his father, and then shortly thereafter his father had a heart attack, I believe, and died. So kind of sad. But growing up, Bob loved animals. He always had a myriad of different animals in his house. He loved to care for wild animals and exotic animals. And when he was 18, he decided to join the Air Force. And he became a medical records technician, got married, had a son, and his son eventually would sometimes guest on the Bob Ross show, The Joy of Painting. Look at this. This is great. Someone left even a little easel out here. Bob Ross, you're a ray of sunshine. Happy little tree. So Bob, look, I love that. Even like a little kid. Then there's a paint set with Bob on it. That famous afro. And look at that. That's actually Bob. Wow. So he and his wife ended up getting a divorce, and he became a single father, raising his son Steven. And eventually he got transferred. The Air Force transferred him out to Alaska. So he ended up getting remarried, and they settled in Fairbanks, and Bob resumed his job with the Air Force, and eventually ended up getting, as I understand it, a part-time job as a bartender. And he loved painting, so he would spend some of his time trying to learn how to paint, and he would paint gold plates. Like he would paint scenic shots, or, you know, like atmospheric things, nature, on these gold plates and try and sell them to tourists that were coming through. And one day while he was working at the bar, on the television they had Bill Alexander showing people how to paint. He was a German who basically was Bob Ross before Bob Ross. He taught people how to paint scenic paintings by using a wet on wet technique, where you didn't have to wait for the paint to dry and you could blend it on the canvas. So it kind of made making accidents easier to cover up or to get away from. And so Bob ended up going and taking his course with Bill Alexander and ended up loving it. And when he got to retire from the Air Force, they offered him a job to become a touring instructor. So Bob's wife still had a few years left before she was able to retire with her benefits. She was a civilian that worked for the Air Force. So she told him, okay, you can go ahead and do it. Take $1,000 with you. If you run out of that money and you fail, come back. If you don't, make us a bunch of money, you know, make us a fortune. So that's what he did. He went off, he joined, I think it was called The Magic of Bill Alexander, and became an instructor. And one of his courses that he was teaching for a week, it was like a five-day course, was here in Florida. And a woman who had recently lost her son talked her husband into letting her come take Bill Alexander's course. Except when she called, they said, Bill Alexander isn't giving the course anymore, he's retired. You'll be taking it with Bob Ross. And she said her heart immediately sank. This woman's name was Annette Kowalski, and boy, was that a chance meeting, because for this man who she didn't want to take the course from, she decided to take it anyway, and found what we all ended up finding in Bob Ross, this captivating, soft-talking personality, this guy who just made you feel comfortable. He was always positive, made you believe you could do anything, and within, you know, like a half-hour span, he could create a painting. So she said throughout this week she noticed how gifted he was with people, and that all the people taking the course liked him the same way. So she said on the last day of the course, my husband and I invited him out to dinner. He came out and we said, you know, God, we wish that you could come and do this in Washington, D.C., and we would partner with you to start a school. And so he said, okay, I'll do it. So he did. He moved up there and they started together trying to build this school of painting for Bob Ross. So Annette said she knew if she could just get people in there that they would love Bob the same way that she did, but she said nobody was biting. They were spending all this money trying to advertise and nobody was signing up. They thought maybe it was because they were day classes, so they changed to doing night classes, and only one guy came. So Annette said, I told Bob, hey, you know, you're not doing this class, not for one person. He said, no, if there's even one person here that wants to learn, I'll teach him. And so this one guy that was there took the course from Bob. At the end of it, he liked Bob so much, and he said he was just absolutely astounded that Bob would put the care and so much into just one student when only one person had come, that he was actually a pretty well-off guy, and he made an offer. He said, I'll invest $1 million. I'll just give you $1 million, but in return, I want 40% of whatever you make for the rest of your life. And since they were partners, they agreed to turn it down. Bob and Annette turned it down, and her husband Walt, they continued to build Bob and try and figure out ways of getting people to come take his classes. So they appealed to Bill Alexander and asked Bill Alexander if he would be willing to make a commercial with Bob, you know? And so they did do that, but the format that they filmed it on wasn't able to go to television, so they went to the local public broadcasting and asked for help, and the people there loved the video that they had made and asked if Bob would be interested in doing his own show. So Bob had very specific ideas exactly how he wanted to do this show, and that's exactly what they did. But he had developed a look by this point. He now had an afro that he had grown out because they were spending so much money trying to build this business that he thought it would save money by not having to get haircuts, and he wouldn't have to dip into that $1,000 that his wife had given him and maybe help extend what he was trying to do. And so that was exactly what they did. He decided he wanted the show to be timeless, so he decided to wear very plain clothes, jeans, t-shirt type deal, or button-up shirt kind of thing, just something that wouldn't age. And the hair obviously is probably something that that definitely shows the age, but other than that, he wanted it to be a very intimate experience. And so he said that he would talk to the camera as though it was a woman he was talking to in bed, and he would always film with a black backdrop to not dissuade or distract from anything with the actual painting of the painting. So Bob did this first season, and he would plan everything out. Annette said he would actually paint all of the paintings that he was going to do for that season, you know, before the season even started. And then she said a lot of times what he would do, and that was more like kind of later on in the show, but she said one thing that he would do in that very first season was that he wanted to do a book, and they couldn't finance a book, the public broadcasting, so they told him he'd have to do it on his own, and he wasn't really making that much money, but he always believed if you didn't worry about money and you just did what you loved, then the money would come to you. And so he wanted to do this book, and they decided they were going to do it. So what he would do is he would film the show the way that he did, and he would have that painting done within 30 minutes. But he would also, after the show, they would go to Annette's house, and they would have a black backdrop, and he would repaint the entire thing that he had just done, and she would take still photos of the whole thing, and that is what he would use for his books. Now, unfortunately, the quality, apparently, in the documentary, they say, was so bad on the video and the audio of that first season that after it first aired, they never showed it again, and that first book of his was hard to find. But he ended up doing one of those volumes of books, like 13 paintings per season. He would do a volume per season, so he ended up with 30 books and over 400 episodes of The Joy of Painting. But after he lost the show, that first year they canceled him doing the show on PBS anymore, and he hit the road teaching again, doing the same thing he had done before, and they knew that there was a building market for what he was doing, so they got Bill Alexander again to help him out, and they would do commercials during the Bill Alexander show, advertising Bob Ross, and he also bought time during the Phil Donahue show. And eventually, it took off. Everyone loved Bob Ross the same way that we did, but unfortunately for him, with that afro, he hated that look. He absolutely hated that look. And even people would say, Bob, why don't you change your look? He'd say, I can't. He had made it a brand. From early on, he decided that was part of his trademark logo, right here, what you're looking at. So he said, it's too late, I'm stuck with it. That's what people know, that's what people are comfortable with, and I think if people tried to watch me paint and didn't see that, they wouldn't feel the same way. But yeah, what a captivating show. I can remember being sick when I was a little kid, staying home from school and just being captivated by that and wanting my mom to go out and buy me paints. And that was the beauty of it. He really made you think, and he made a lot of people, you know, an artist right away. If you did what he told you, it actually worked out. Rest in peace, Bob. And here's Bob's parents, Jack and Ollie Ross. He said he had, in his opinion, the greatest mother ever. Even though a lot of the time it was rough, and even when they weren't filming this show, Bob was on the road teaching those courses. He just loved doing it, and so he spent a lot of time going all over the country teaching, being away from his family. And Annette said many times, I just wanted to be done. Like I was ready to just give up, but he never wanted to, so we never did. And once he was doing this, he never quit. I mean, he finally retired the show, The Joy of Painting, in 1994 because he was diagnosed with lymphoma and went away so that he could spend time taking care of himself. And in 1995, he eventually passed away from that. And of course, like I said, his son Stephen Ross is a fantastic painter as well, and made many appearances on The Joy of Painting where Bob would introduce him. And apparently they tried to get him to do a show. He just never had the interest in doing his own show, so he never did. He's just his own painter. God, thank you for all the great entertainment, Bob. That's a big part of why he would always paint those forest scenes and those snowy mountains. It was because of those days in Alaska. He was up there for, he said, about a dozen years living. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I'm gonna call it a day. It was a real joy to come out here and pay my respects to Bob Ross, the man who taught us to love this nature. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye.